What's going on, everyone? Vampyr Gaming here, and before we jump into the video, if you see right down here, you're going to see this link to TCGPlayer. Also, you may see these are where you can shop my store with the leader cases that you'll see me use in like my live streams that you may have seen in person or just like overall online. You can check those out at the tagged product, or just to support the channel with TCG singles you'd already be purchasing, click that link in the YouTube video description right there. It'll take you to TCGPlayer, this right here, and then it'll help support me with a small percentage of any purchase that you make. And we're going to go ahead and jump in. So in today's video, we're going to talk about a little bit about reprints, cards that I wouldn't buy right now, and then of course cards that may be good buys. I don't remember if I mentioned Paradise Waterfall previously, so let me know. I feel like I may have, but there's so many cards that you can mention all the time. I don't know if I did, but it's kind of silly now. But we're going to talk about OP12, OP13, how it's kind of already moving our market, and just a couple of speculation things. So we still don't know too much. We know most of the leaders. And let's go ahead and jump in. So yeah, Paradise Waterfall is now $30, and it climbed quickly, right? Like as we kind of got, it jumped quickly from like, it was like a $2 card. It was a $2 card. It jumped incredibly fast up to 15, and then within the span of a month, somehow it is now $30. I would never pay $30 for this. I'm actually debating on breaking open mine and just selling them now. I would love $100. This card's also block 1, so this card only has about 10 months worth of play. So it's $30 for 10 months worth of play. So something to keep in mind with rotation, because it's not reprinted in PRB. So this card is actually, the fact that it isn't reprinted in PRB02 as well kind of makes this a little bit more expensive. Great card in Zoro. Again, not too many listed here either. Very slim in terms of the pickings. And then even the common has, or well, it's an uncommon, has gone up to $4, and people are paying $4 for their playsets. And this kind of happens every set, which is kind of like where my bread and butter on these videos is a lot of people usually come very late, because I mean, it's still, we're over a month out of OP12, and these are now finally making moves. Like you can see here, not too long ago, literally back in June, they were still like quarters. They were quarters, and now it is the price that it is today. It is a great card in Zoro. It also doesn't help that there's speculation that Blue Purple Luffy is going to be banned, and that potentially Green Zoro is going to be best deck in format. So only time will truly tell there, but I think that kind of plays into this as well. So check your singles boxes. I know I opened a box of OP01, so I'm debating if I want to try to see, maybe find $16 in there. So we'll see what happens. And I know I have some of these as well from when I bought these for Kennymon, I believe. So I have these somewhere. And yeah, on the topic of green, and we're talking PRB02. So we're going to talk reprints, but we're going to talk cards that aren't reprinted. And so one of the big things that I'm going to encourage, and I'll echo this when the time comes for PRB02, but Hody Jones, this card was reprinted in PRB02. This card is a PRB02 reprint. It was literally $2. It was probably at one point close to $1. Yeah, you see like 218. Yeah, $1. It literally hit $1. This was PRB, and now it is $8. And of course, green again speculated almost like 9. Green speculated to be the best deck should, Blue Purple get banned. I think if any card is, green's always, the argument's always green's never had a banned card. Fair, but if any card could be banned, I think it's this. It's the best rusher in the game. Or just give red one. Just give red one. That's all I really ask. Just give red one. Let them feel the wrath of a true Hody Jones, Or just let me rest Don in general, But yeah, Hody Jones. So it's a textbook example of why you should pick up some of these reprinted cards, and we'll talk about those a little bit as well. Like this Sabo. So this Sabo is $30. I would not buy this Sabo right now. This is used in Bello Betty. It's actually a really good card for Bello Betty, just because of the 2K factor. It's just Rosa Revolutionary Army, and it's a Sabo. But yeah, this card, it matters. And you can definitely get away with not playing it, but it's kind of like that's why it is $30. But this card is confirmed for PRB02. and it should be incredibly accessible within the set. So this card is incredibly overhyped. I really actually just want to crack open all of my best collection 3s and sell all of these just because it literally only makes sense. And I'm sure as we get closer, a lot more people are going to do that, and maybe people just haven't realized. But this is the last card that I personally would buy, just because it is getting a good reprint, which is huge because we only got this in these premium collections, and that felt really weird because we had to wait a long time, and then we got them in such a weird way and costly way. And then, so we've got all the PRB reveals. One of the cards that aren't reprinted is Gold D Roger. Now, again, we don't know what Roger's support looks like, and or if they're even going to print him some support, but we do know that you can play this, and that if you play this with a 7k leader, you swing 7, you swing 13, that hits like a brick train in the worst case. So it is completely optional in a deck that can have some crazy aggro, and it's not reprinted in PRB02, so it could be a bare minimum PRB03 when we actually see a reprint for this card. And in that time, there's going to be a lot of different sets. So this card could find its way back into our meta, and it is incredibly cheap. I think at the bare minimum, at $4, $5, you should have 2 of these. Because I don't think you'll ever be a 4 of, but you should have 2. And if they make some crazy Roger Pirates engine, who knows? But yeah, I think this is a great card to have. You know, it could be reprinted, and when it does, it will inevitably be $1. But in the meantime, you know, we have about a year, and so we're looking at more reprints a little over. So, and it's OP09, which is just slowly becoming a little bit more expensive overall. And so I think that this is an incredible card to kind of keep your eyes on, kind of keep tabs on, see what they got going on. But I think it's a good card to watch. I think it's a great card to have if you don't have them already. Now, Sanji's confirmed for a reprint. Again, I wouldn't touch this. If you do not need, and I mean, I would wait till after the ban list announcement. If I didn't have Blue Purple Luffy, I'd wait till after the ban list announcement. Yes, this card's great, but once this is reprinted, it's going to be $1. This is going to be $1. And when it is $1, I'd probably buy a ton of them. Because this card it's so balanced, but again, it has so much potential. I always talked about this card with like Marco. I was like, it really just needs the right leader, and Blue Purple Luffy was the right leader, but the wrong leader at the same time. But we have Sanji here. Sanji's a great card. Dropped tremendously. You know, and just speculations of a ban. I wouldn't buy this card right now. I'd buy it if I needed it for Bandai Card Fest after the bans, once we have clarity. Same thing here for this Trafalgar Law. This Trafalgar Law is confirmed in PRB02. I wouldn't buy this unless you're a die-hard red-green or yellow-green Law fan, just because this card is going to be $1 when it's reprinted. Operating under the assumption that we get the same ratios, it is quite possible we don't. And they could, like, we had 7 super rares and 3 hits in EBO2. We got 2 hitboxes and 6 super rares in EBO2. In EBO1, we had 7 super rares and 3 hitboxes guaranteed. We didn't have that in EBO2. They could echo the same thing. And in PRB02, we could not see 2 secrets. We know 1 super rare per pack is guaranteed, so the supers are going to be stupid cheap, and you should buy all the ones that you think are good and that you need right away so you don't end up like Cody Jones. But yeah, Trafalgar Law, though, Traffy, this is going to be, I mean, even if the reprints are good, it's going to be like $4. If it's like 1 secret per box, maybe like $4. If it's 2 secrets per box, this card will be $1. And you can pick them up and play your Red-Green Law deck. And on the topic of Red-Green Law, or Yellow-Green Law, there's this card, which is not in PRB02. Now, it is in Block 1, which means it's going to rotate out April because it hasn't been reprinted. But in that time, it can get expensive. The good news is cards like this, in order for it to go back into rotation, it has to be reprinted, which likely is going to be a meaningful reprint. So you won't need to worry about like past expensive cards because they should get reprinted very cheaply. Unless if they decide that like the SPs are a way to bring cards back into rotation, then it could get kind of nasty because those are higher rarity versions. But overall, majority of the cards, with there being, 6 or 8 SPs a set, a majority of the cards are going to be brought back in through PRB just to add them back into rotation going forward, looking ahead to 2026. But this is one of those cards to kind of keep your eyes on. Again, like this card, just kind of expensive, kind of hard to get your hands on. Was a little bit more when Law was a little bit more hype, but just kind of something to watch out for. And this Koala is also getting reprinted, so like a lot of sales here, but I'm fairly sure that I saw this in PRB02, and so I'm not sure why people are picking it up, if we're being honest. But, you know, if you have these, I would unload these. You can see, yeah, I mean, it dropped off drastically in terms of price. I would sell these ASAP. Now, looking ahead to OP13, I kind of mentioned this card before. If you follow me on X at Vampyr Gaming, if not, definitely feel free to check me out over there. All of the cheap ones have kind of like sold off. I'm glad I didn't sell these because it felt kind of cheap, but there is a Luffy that essentially you can turn Don into 2Ks, and this gives you 1 free Don at the end of your turn, essentially netting you 1 free 2K, pretty much making you have a Shanks-like ability, but for 2K counter instead of 1 for every card that you have like this. And like, you know, the more you stack them, Cavendishes, anything that's going to get you Don back is going to take you that extra distance. So far, the red-green Luffy, the red support looks absolutely terrible overall, so something to keep in mind. But you have the green cards, you've got Hody, which is an incredible card, and you have this, which you, of course, can use to get extra Dawn, and, of course, the Mihawk, which gives you 4 back for free just for playing him, and a lot of other things. So there's a lot of stuff going for this Luffy. And then, again, you know, you could have 1 card in hand, leave 5 Dawn up, and your opponent might not necessarily be able to just swing 15 and win. So a lot of opportunity, a lot of strength there, and just being able to float cards in hand equal to Dawn that equal 2Ks. And so I think cards like this can have huge value. And of course, this is like the intermediate rarity for Urouge. There is the SP, but this is like a cheap alternative, which is why I'm mentioning it here. Now, OP13 in mind, if you haven't seen my videos on Roger for OP13, I've played a couple games on the sim with him, but my thesis was like 9K leader. And again, this card has the potential to rotate out. It was reprinted in PRB01, so TBD if they decide to honor, because they essentially created the PRB premium reprint booster set to add cards back into rotation. Same thing with the direction they're taking for EB02 is to add leaders back into rotation. I don't know if anyone else picked up on that, but I may make a video kind of going more in depth on that. But essentially they're going to set a cadence to where they can reoccur these every year and just add cards back in, and then of course do meaningful reprints as well. This was in PRB01. It very well can just get rotated out in April. We don't have a lot of clarity there, so operate with your best knowledge. But at 50 cents for a 9K leader sounds just absurd. This is another one of those PRB reprints, as I mentioned, so they got pretty cheap overall. So if you think you might be a Roger gamer, this may be the move. It also, 9K leader might not matter, you know? I mean, you have ramp, you have red, but maybe 9K leader isn't the way. Only time will tell, but doesn't hurt to have, especially at 50 cent. And then we move over to Port-Gistier. So rotation happens, but there are some cards that are rotation proof. Any card that has a manga is rotation proof. And so we're going to talk about Port-Gistier. So there is a new ace leader coming, and it is slightly hyped. So this card has slowly been being bought again. And as such, this card hasn't had a PRB reprint in PRB1 or PRB2, which means that this is organic OP02 stock, which apparently they're still continuing to stock at the Bandai stores, so I hear. But it is a lot harder to get this card. I would encourage you to, because this card will never rotate out. This card has infinity years of play cooked into it. It will never rotate out. It's a manga. Will never rotate out. Let me say that one more time. It will never rotate out. And it hasn't been reprinted in 2 years of reprint cycles. That's not good for this card and for us as everyday people. It's really great if you want to make some money. I need to find all of them. I have so many of these because I've just bought them for all of my Whitebeard decks. So I need to find them for my other Whitebeard deck, which is Ace. But yeah, these are slowly climbing up. This is one of these cards like this. This is probably one of the best play sets you can have right now, just because, again, never rotates out, hasn't been reprinted. If it's going to come for a reprint, it's probably going to be a whole nother year in PRB03 for it to be considered. Rotation proof. Great card to have. If you think you might play red, blue, ace, I highly recommend you get one of these sooner than later. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at like one of these potentially, where everybody suddenly buys them at the end. So be careful. Again, you know, don't spend money you do not have on trading cards. But I think this is one of the best play sets you can own right now. Just because there is a leader coming. This is one of the best. This is probably the best red rusher still, bar for bar. And yeah, I mean, like yeah, this card is so good on the 7 curve, and it's and it's rotation proof. And then of course this one's just kind of funny. It's crazy for me to see that people bought 539 of these. 539 sold, which is over 100 play sets, which is people. There's a lot of people probably have never even had this card played against them. This card is really good in Ace. Some people think it's not the way. I still do. I mean, this card's just busted. You KO at 8K, which removes their blocker, and then you just get to crack them for now 9, which was my ideal thing to hit them for anyways. So, yeah, I mean, I like this card. Doesn't hurt the head. It's an older rare at this point. Does not hurt to have that playset. You know, you can still get them for like 4. You see this? This card is an old rare, OP03, little newer than OP01, but we look at an OP01 uncommon, can be $4. Highly, highly, highly encourage you to just pick up that playset. This card will never be played at 4 of, in my opinion, but does just have that playset just because. Yeah, I mean, it's still cheap. It's still cheap. We're still early. Recommend you pick that up. And now, as always, I kind of try to include a little treat here in these videos, right, for those who actually stick around. I usually put it in the middle. I just had my order messed up, so it didn't end up in the middle. So anyone who just skips around, you're in luck. But Shuria is one of those cards, and I would like to think I had to play this because I released my Roger video talking about Shuria. So if you saw that, you kind of got a little bit early sneak peek. I made sure to pick up mine before. But this card, again, 50 cents. It's OP06. OP06 Wings of the Captain, so it hasn't been restocked in a little bit, but incredibly cheap, and if we're playing a 7K, 9K leader format, this is going to be the go. It was the red goat when we were playing with BP, or was it Black Yellow Luffy? We're playing Black Yellow Luffy. This was the go. It's essentially become a 3-drop 7K. That's also a blocker, and it's hard to remove. It's going to be sticky. It's going to be a really good card. It's also going to help protect you in some instances, but a lot of times we're just going to play this out for a cheap, strong swinger, and it's going to allow us to get in those extra hits that can matter. So, big fan of Shuria if we're going into a 7K leader format, and I think it kind of shows. We'll see here, again, this kind of upticking as well. Here was around when JCM... I think won, got second with Whitebeard, and then everybody got incredibly excited for it. And then now here we are again. We see a little bit of uptick in the volume here, price slowly rising up again. Not a set that's commonly opened now. And then the same thing here as well. I've been buying these for a while now, whenever they're like $1, just because I knew that there was a Roger deck coming. Roger deck is still coming, and these are like $2. It is the only Roger Don to my knowledge. Correct me if I'm wrong. There may be one in PRB, but I don't think so. So this is the only Roger Don, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to want these once Roger comes along. And yeah, as always, if you found this content of value, if you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We're incredibly close to 10,000, counting down the days, trying to get there before Minhootie, or as I like to call him, Minhu. All love though, trust. But yeah, a sub for me is an unsub for Minhootie. We're on the road to 10K. And yeah, I hope this helps. I'll see you all in the next one.